closing weekend at Del Mar. It is crazy how fast the summer has gone by. Barry Spears joins me to talk about Saturday at Del Mar. And Barry, the way that the races are situated on Saturday, two of the three stakes races are in races 4 and 5. So we figured let's just take a look at the early pick 5 because there's already a couple stakes races in there. And then we'll also share some thoughts on the John C. Maybe, which is race number 9 on Saturday. How you doing, my friend?
Doing very, very well, man. I think this early pick 4 has the potential to pay, especially with these, maiden races sprinkled in there. It's a pretty good sequence. Lots of horses and
Yeah, it's
lots
different.
of
You know what I mean? Because normally
yeah.
they put the lesser races at the very beginning of the card, but this
Mhm.
one with some of the stakes in the mix, like race number 1 is challenging. Race number 3 is also challenging. A lot of horses going a mile on the turf, young horses too. So yeah, not an easy sequence at all. Hopefully we can make some money and hopefully we can lead all of you in the right direction. Make sure to head to the Del Mar shop, shop.drf.com. Past performances, clocker reports, picks, betting strategies on Saturday. And then this is it for Del Mar, man. It's pretty
Oh,
crazy. It is pretty crazy. But I will say the tracks out there have done a good job now kind of using some of the big days at big tracks and building around them because you don't want to run one of your really big days on top of a Saratoga or Del Mar day. It's a little bit more difficult. We'll see. I think next weekend. So this weekend, Del Mar, you'll have them kind of close things out. Next weekend, races open at Churchill, so they have a big weekend. You'll also see Woodbine have another one of their big weekends where they have the Woodbine Mile, the Talma, the Summer, the EP Taylor. I think they have 4 grade ones on their card. So Saturday, they have a really big day. And then the following weekend, it is it's at Parks, Pennsylvania Derby. So Woodbine has a big one next weekend, then Pennsylvania Derby the weekend after. And then it's funny how quickly that happens. Then that Saturday is the 28th, 3 Saturdays from now. And then you're right back at a big weekend at Belmont and Aqueduct with the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic, the Vosburg, the Woodward, the Pilgrim. And then actually that's going to be that really big day, the new California Crown Day at
yes,
Santa Anita,
California Crown, yeah, and
where they
then
have all those graded stakes races there.
and
So
that just rolls right into Keeneland.
yep. So it's even the next few weeks where it feels like things are going to slow down because there's not going to be Del Mar and Saratoga as much. But this weekend we have big racing from Del Mar in Kentucky. Next weekend you'll have Churchill open up, and you'll also have big action at Woodbine, really quality racing there. And then the weekend after Pennsylvania Derby and a big day there. So every weekend, there's going to be lots of stuff for us to talk about. Let's see if we can make the folks some money, Barry, on Saturday. I will encourage everyone. There are a few of these still left. So if you're someone who is like me or like Barry who likes to play in these tournaments and win our way in for way cheaper than what the tournament fee are and the entry fees are, the next few days and the next couple of weeks, there's a lot of these $40 feeders. So if you're watching this, we're recording this on Thursday. They have one of these on Friday at Del Mar. They have one of these on Saturday at Del Mar. And if you're for $40, you'd qualify for a spot in the Sunday game. That's a $300 entry. And then from there, you win one of the big seats for the CCBC game that we were talking about. That's a $6,000 entry. That's a huge one. So that's our goal. We're trying to qualify. There's a $40 game that leads us into the $300 game. And then they lead us into the big one, the California Crown Betting Championship, where you can win NHC seats, BCB seats, Pegasus World Cup betting championship seats, just seats to huge tournaments, tons of money. That'll be our goal. And we can get in that thing for just $40. So might as well take a few swings there if possible. Barry, my friend, let's start out the pick 5, race number 1 at Del Mar on Saturday. We're looking at September the 7th. And we will start with the Calbred group. It's maiden special weights. These are 2-year-olds. These are 2-year-olds going 5 furlongs on the turf in their Calbreds. Some of the horses in here, I think just to start with, based on the morning line, the 8 Steak Fries will take money, and he's faster than what he showed in that debut. If you just look at some of his workouts, the blinkers will come on, but you will probably have to take pretty short on a horse who will be trying the turf for the first time, and we're projecting a lot from him.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, he didn't really show much in that debut, but he is better than that. Just not necessarily the type of horse who you'd want to take a short price on. That's not proven. Who do you start with in here? Who would be a couple horses you'd want to use in a pick 5 situation?
Yeah, this is kind of a doozy of a
It
first
is.
race to
It
put
is.
in a pick 5 sequence of any kind. There's only a couple of horses in here with some form or have run a race. The 8 Steak Fries, who probably will be favored and probably is the horse to beat. I'm with you, thinking that this horse is a lot better than his first start. He has some pedigree uh, on the dam side, some turf runners, things of that sort. So I
Mhm.
expect this horse to run a lot better than
Yep.
first
More early speed
that
too.
first
He'll be
start. Yeah,
quicker.
yeah. I mean, at least from what we can go off of in the form, um, they kind of got it right morning line wise with who should be around, because Phil D'Amato with the 4 marked the money man.
He's the most
Um,
interesting one to me, I think.
Definitely is interesting. Long workout tab, should be ready to go. And the same thing with Prince of Delmar. Uh, although
Yep.
that barn doesn't really wow you with the stats first time out, very capable. Um,
And they
this is
usually
this
send a few here like live to Del Mar, just like this,
exactly,
like young
yeah.
horses, just like this, that they'll set up in some good spots because there isn't a whole lot to go off with some of the other horses. Like the 4 who you were getting to, yeah, the lone sib of this one, when you look at the Dam, Dixie Dame never tried the turf, but the lone sibling was a 4-time winner on the turf. So you definitely could expect some grass there. And then when you're just looking at the works, um, the September 1st work is on XBTV. And
Mhm.
so for some of these horses, to get as much of the information as you possibly can. I thought the September 1st work was pretty good. What I liked about it, he was working on the outside of a horse and he went up on the outside of a runner, and then a horse to the outside of him came. So he had to kind of be in between horses and in the middle, which is
Mhm.
just nice. It's not normally something you have to do in the mornings, and it kind of simulates a race a little bit more. So I thought that was a good effort from that one. I went 4. And yeah, I guess the price horse I will throw in is the 10, mainly because this horse just has some turf. And in this race, you don't have a whole lot to go off with these horses.
No,
You know,
not much.
they're so little, and a horse like this only raced once. At least he got that experience out of the way too. You know, he just ran around. He didn't show much at all, but it was sprinting on the dirt, and he should be better on the turf. His dam was a winner on the turf. Look at some of the siblings too. Chancery Way didn't win on the grass, but in her 5 turf starts, she's been in the money in all 5 of them, and they're in stakes races. So, you'd look and say, oh, it didn't win on the grass, but definitely a horse who's capable on the grass. NK Rocket Man is a 3-time winner on the grass. So there is some turf here in this pedigree. And I wouldn't be shocked to see this one just show a little bit more with a dam and some siblings that were capable on the grass. Yeah, I went 4, 8, 10, 7. That's kind of how I stacked them
Yeah,
in
I
here.
just had 4, 7, and 8 really.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be too many or too many surprises in here.
It didn't feel like it.
Although Mathis does have 2 in here. Rosie Tinkerbell, that may be worth noting.
And
Um,
he throws in the filly against the boys. We have a
mhm,
couple fillies in here that take on the boys. Both the 2 and the 3, Miss Mrazek
mhm.
and Rosie Tinkerbell, and going with her, another one too, the 6 for Peter Miller. So
Yeah.
early on in a race like this, there's not a lot of separation from these horses who don't have experience. So fillies can beat the boys, especially early in the career like this, quite often. Race number 1 at Del Mar, 2-year-olds, Calbreds. Let's move to the second, Barry. This is a 6.5 furlong dirt race. The number 4 Hula Candy is out, was dropping in class. So that one's scratched. On paper, you have Uncle Reg, the 5, who's in solid form right now. It's kind of at this level, a really nice fit. You can see he was facing maiden special weights early in his career, just a little bit over the top. Some of those races, he was close to breaking his maiden.
Yeah, it took
but
him a while.
but it just he faced some nice horses too. He had Dr. Venkman in the mix. You see some of these horses that came back and would win next out, dropped him into the maiden 50 level, and he was just way more competitive there. And his race on the dirt against Starter Allowance Company 2 starts back was solid. That would be a real nice fit in here. The other horse that on the morning line is Touchdown Brown, who's coming off a really long layoff. He hasn't raced in over a year. What's a positive about him? He goes out for a barn who's fantastic first start off the claim. In fact, when you just go to the last 5 years, this has been a barn that's 20% over the last 5 years first start off the claim. And the last 1 year, they're 11 for 45. 24% with a $2.40 ROI for just $2. Now, this horse was claimed and has been off a year. That's not something you normally want to do, right? You and I aren't going, hey, let's go claim this horse. And then the horse,
Run him a year later.
right? So something went wrong that they had to shelf this horse. But the counter is based on one of the new, like the CHRB rulings, they can bring this horse back at the same level, protected, not for a claiming tag. So you can see the Touchdown Brown. They basically get a free roll with this horse off the bench, which is kind of cool. So you want to come into this race really ready to rock because you get an opportunity to kind of take advantage of this spot, steal some money, and then move yourself back up, and you can keep your horse.
Maybe. I mean,
If
or the free roll is the workout before the one they want.
yeah, that's
That's the risk. That's where the gamble is.
yeah. So it is nice to know that you can come back and get yourself a shot. And he does fit at the level. And again, he's a horse that the barn's really good off of a long layoff and really good first start off the claim. Those are the two to start with in this race. It's a lower level, kind of 20,000 restricted claiming race. And neither of them are like all that fun gambling options. They're short
No, you
prices in here.
can't trust either of those
No,
horses.
not at all.
Just because of the dynamics and the class of the race, you really can't trust too many of these horses anyway.
No.
Especially not the favorites. So I was looking elsewhere, to say the least.
And even because it's hard to like a horse like the 10.
That's where I was going with it. I mean, has a real big pace advantage. Although that one hasn't been out since
and that's what I was going to say, right? Because on paper he looks like one of the more intriguing alternatives to the shorter price horses. But then he kind of has that. Wow, now we're getting into April, so we're almost coming up on a year and a half. For him being off the bench, so he has a knock or two. I'm going to throw the 11 in. He hasn't raced in a while either, but he should at least offer us some value. He goes out for connections that will prime some horses for Del Mar, just like this. I think some of his better races would be fine here, like the 16 non-winners of 2 race back in September, going a mile, something like that. That would be pretty good. And early on in his career, he faced some nice horses. I think the 1 and the 11 were kind of intriguing price horses to me. If you're looking for maybe pick 4, pick 5 horses. For Sweezy, I think, he's just trying to find where some of these horses fit. This is a horse who comes in from Churchill. They took a shot against First Level Allowance Company. It wasn't like he ran bad. He was beaten 4 lengths. It was just his first start in a few months. They're trying to see, okay, where does he spot here? He was in a little too tough. Now we can drop him. We can, go second start off the bench. He ran, 2 and 3 starts back at Churchill or the race at Keeneland. Those would probably be competitive in the spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Those turf races at Churchill were pretty strong. I mean, the Churchill meet in general is pretty strong.
Yeah.
All those horses have come out of there and went other places and have been winning races. I kind of like a horse a little bit in here that I on Saturday I would think I might single this horse if I end up diving into this pick 5. But it's the 1, Trust Daddy.
Yep.
And I'll tell you why. This horse desperately needed the class relief.
Yep.
Got it on April 14th with Flavian Pratt in the 30,000 non-winners of 2, going 7 furlongs. Scored that day fairly well and went into another condition claimer for 50,000. Something went wrong or the horse just needed a break. after the race in June, comes back on the turf, which clearly was a prep for this race. And I think this race might get a little hot up front. I think the pace might heat up a little bit, and this horse will be sitting in the right spot.
He could carve
Um,
himself out a really nice trip
I
in here.
really think so, and he's fast enough to win this race. I'm not sure on the 14-1 though. I mean on the 12-1. I think he might catch some more action.
Yeah, well, especially with
Because
the four's out, so he's going to take money because as
right,
we're talking this race out, right? I think a lot of people are going to do what we did. You look at the two horses who will take a lot of money. Like, sure, they're probably the most likely winners of this race, but for their price, how likely? And we don't trust them. So then you start looking for the other horses, and a couple do jump out, and the one is one of them. The one seems like one of the real logical. Hey, I'm not going to go with the favorite in here. If this horse is 5-6-1, that wouldn't shock me.
right. I was gonna say probably you could probably go down to 5-1 with this
Yeah,
horse and still be in good shape.
I think so too.
Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I like this horse quite a bit.
yeah.
Trust that.
Again, this is the softest spot he's been in his career.
Mm.
You're looking at what he's been in since he
Well,
started his career. He's been facing, maiden special weights, stakes company, upper allowance horses. The time he dropped in for 30 at Keeneland, he won nicely. And then
yeah,
since
he
then, he's
won
been facing
easy in
better.
that race, and this is just one level up above that. And I think those races he was running in Kentucky are better,
I
top to
agree.
bottom, than this race here.
It's just the trip and maybe the 6.5. Because
I
that's
think that's
sometimes
I think
tricky.
that's okay.
Me too.
I
Because
think
7
six
was
and a half
fine.
is okay.
7
Yeah.
was fine for him. It's just don't get the shuffle, because that's the kind of running style from the inside where sometimes you can get trapped. But if he can just carve himself out right behind the leaders and sit in a nice spot, he's one of your pick 4, pick 5 horses, I think, to toss in. Yeah, I had 111, and then I had like big question marks with how am I going to play the 7 and the 5.
See,
How
I
am I
think
going
the
to do them
10.
in
I
there?
think the 10 merit really could be in a nice position,
Yeah,
because
I
he
don't.
could be faster than all the other speeds and clear. If that horse clears, it might be trouble.
Well, let's see what Timeform US has. I always kind of curious to take a look at them. Something. Yeah, I think, and I'll probably have tickets with some 10s on there because they do have 10 kind of clearing out front. The 6.5 worries me a little bit with the 10, but it's another one of those things where when you're looking for some prices, are there versions of this race where this horse can get clear, get brave? Sure, absolutely. Race number 2, 20,000 non-winners of 3 going 6.5 furlongs. 7 and 5 are the short price horses. The ones that Barry and I were mentioning as price horses to include. 1, Trust Daddy. Keep an eye on that one. The 10, Honeymoon Suite. Speed off of the long layoff. The 11, Park City. Hasn't raced since November of last year, but has some races that absolutely fit with these, particular that September race at Santa Anita. That looks pretty good against the 16 non-winners of 2. That's race number 2. Barry, my friend, let's move on to the 3rd. We have 2-year-old maidens going a mile on the turf course. This one has a couple Baffert horses going long on the turf. We usually don't see very many Baffert horses on the turf in general. He really only has a few that he starts on the grass. Both of these horses have worked pretty well. Zabo is the 1. The 4 is King's Road. I will say, though, just kind of watching the works, to me, I like the few other horses better than King's Road, kind of watching their works and just watching and looking at some of the pedigree here. This was a really fun race because I think Zabo, obviously I mentioned 1 and 4 of the Bafferts. The 2 video review is a interesting first-time starter, Dam 1 on turf. The 3, Ironman Cal, has that experience, and that could be really important in a race like this, just going second start with that 5 furlong race under him. Towards the outside, the 8, Coulaire, was pretty impressive in that race at Down Royal. And that was a field of 13. And this horse came rolling late and was only beaten a length and 3/4. And even to the outside, Curvino could improve now. 2 sprints to a route. Came out of a couple really nice, strong 2-year-old races. I thought many in here you could make a case for? Who are some of the ones that we're going to talk about on your end, Barry? Who do you want to start with?
Yeah, this is a really interesting race, and I think this might be where you might get a price. Um, this would be the proverbial spread race, but I'll start with the two video review. I think this horse merits a long look.
Yep.
Has some pedigree in there. On the dam side, she's a spinning wheel. She was pretty good herself.
Winner on the
Um,
turf.
out of Smart Strike, who drops turf runners. So that one is very interesting, especially at that price. I don't know if 12 to 1 is what you will see. But
She and she showed she's got some speed. Yeah, she one of her works in the morning at Del Mar. She was with stablemate who we're gonna see in the next race. So there she was, and video review was in front of her early, showing pretty good speed. So I think she'll be in the mix early on in here.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's the idea. I mean, you see the
Yep.
workouts, especially the last four.
Mm-hmm.
They're, uh, actually, the fourth one in that sequence on
August
August
11th,
11th
and then they could
is a
then
quick
once you
one.
know
Then
what you
they
got,
right.
right? Then you fitness up after that.
Exactly. And then that last one was a little bit quicker, and it seems like the horse kind of understands what he's doing a little bit.
Yep.
But we'll see. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you got nothing to go on. And what I do know is I'm not really apt or willing to take a Baffert on the grass at
Going
a short
long.
price. Right. For somebody
Yeah.
he really doesn't do much of.
No.
It's tough.
I
And I think people are still gonna bet him because it's him.
Sure. And these
And
horses have talent. They've been
yeah,
working
I was
well in
gonna
the
say
mornings
they're
and stuff.
not
It's not like
bad.
they don't
I mean,
look bad. It's not like you're playing him going 5.5 on the dirt.
I
It's
mean,
different.
1.2 million between the two horses is what they paid for him. So, there's some expectations there, but that doesn't mean they're going to win first out.
Nope.
Uh,
So, and that's why,
Unrivaled. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
It's a seven.
I was going to say Unrivaled Hero is another one that's kind of interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I did see Cozine in that pedigree there, uh, but it's hard to make anything of anybody. But I do like the longer workouts this horse has. That one on uh, August 10th is a decent work, like kind of sort of like what we just talked about with Video Ranger. Video review. Sorry, Video
Yep.
Ranger. Um, damn, I don't know where I pulled that one out
I was
from,
gonna
but
say where the Ranger come from. Yeah, no worries. It's all good. Um,
no, but Video Ranger, I think was a New York bred. I'll look it up later. But anyway, um, I think this horse could turf Unrivaled Hero and probably will be kind of under the radar just because of the rider. Mark Glad doesn't really use Tyler Bays all that much,
no.
but they do win when they do hook up. So that one's very interesting. And then Cool Air, the 8 horse,
Yeah.
in a field of 13, you got to have some sort of experience there. So I'm thinking this horse got a little something out of that first run and probably will be okay here in this spot.
It was a big field. She was 10th, or he was 10th of 13 in that race early on, and they just sort of kept him wide out in the clear. And he ran on really well that day. It was just a good performance. He beat 9 horses that day. And yeah, as we're going through a lot of these horses and we don't have a lot, we at least have a good race. And what I like, it was going 7, and now we're at a mile. So a horse like the 10 Curvino, his races have only been sprinting on the dirt. I think he has every right to be fine on the grass, and he's probably one you want to throw in. If you look at his siblings on the turf, Joy's Rocket, she only raced on the turf a couple times, and they were in stakes races. So she's actually stakes placed on the turf, even though she didn't win on the turf. She's a nice horse. Zippy is a 3-time winner on the turf, and Designated won on the turf, making it look easy, also won on the turf. So everybody in this family likes the grass, and we could absolutely see Curvino 2 sprints to a route. The horse that he lost to, named McKinsey Street, is entered in the Del Mar Futurity, and he earned an 81 Beyer speed figure for the career debut win, which is a really good number for a 2-year-old first time out. And Emerald Bay, who was second, came back for Baffert and won his second start. So that was a strong race. That Curvino finished third. The top 2 finishers, if they were in this race, they would be very, very tough. I probably, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say there's one horse at a big price that I think merits a long look. especially if you're gonna go deeper in this race. If you're gonna play the pick fours, pick fives, is the 9 Muscled.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Just missed a break completely.
And the
Uh,
barn never wins with their debut horses, anyways.
no, right, and it wasn't expected. And this horse took a little bit of money. It was only
Mm-hmm.
10-1 in that
And it's
race.
Brett. If you were just talking about, 5 years ago, or I mean longer than that, more like 15 years ago, they're like one of my like early angles that I just would remember, and it wasn't an angle, but I would just always double take unusual heat horses on the grass. Like that was just one in Southern California. And so I always laugh when you'll see horses like this, because this horse does have a run on the grass, but like you said, we can't take anything out of the race because the horse just completely missed the break. And this is a barn that's a little more patient, even with the best of first time starters. They're probably not going to win first out of the box. So this is a sneaky horse who is bred really, really well for the grass.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I would definitely keep an eye on this horse,
Mm-hmm.
and include in the multis, because those are the ones that get you separation in those kind of multi-race bets.
Even getting beat by 21 lengths, that is better than not having a race.
Correct.
Right. Even when you see that. So for some of these other horses that are first time starters, it's actually Muscled has more fitness and probably is going to give you more value because it's a bad race. So people
Hmm.
see it and they just get discouraged. But don't be. Muscled makes a lot of sense in here. I'll probably have the 8 on top, just as to me the horse to beat because of that good race where everyone else in here were kind of he has the closest to a good race at a mile on the turf, with his race
Yeah,
going
my my
7 on the
th- my
turf.
thought was he's probably gonna be second choice.
Yeah, I agree. He'll be 7-2, I think.
Yeah,
It
somewhere around that.
wouldn't shock me at all. But Video Review was one of my first ones that I gravitated towards too. And you went to him with one of your first thoughts as well. So he's
Yeah, he's not gonna be 12-1 either.
no. But we might just have a lot of, like, it wouldn't shock me
A
if
lot of
Kings Road
sevens,
is more
7,
like
8,
5 to
9.
2, right? Like
Yeah.
both of the Baffords don't get as much money and it's just spread around a little bit. That's probably what we'll get here. Yeah, Video Review maybe cut in half, Iron Man right in that 4 to 5-ish range, and Unrivaled Hero maybe even taking a point or two down, and then the 8 taking a little money, as will the 10. Curvino
Which
challenging,
means our guy Muscled is gonna
right?
be like 30-1, which is great.
Absolutely. He's a throw in the early pick fives just because of the sneakiness of him and the real price possibility. Throw the 9 Muscled in the mix.
He's
Let's get
getting
to,
arguably the best turf rider out there right now too.
I know,
Barrios.
lots of positive things that just feel turfy about this horse. It just feels like a good, right? When you're looking at him. Um, the grade 1 Del Mar debutante early on the card. It's going to go as race number 4, 7 furlongs on the dirt. These are 2-year-old fillies. The one to beat in here is Noonie, but she's not overwhelmed. She doesn't overwhelm this field. In her 2 starts, she's been good. She beat Vodka with the Twist. Vodka with the Twist, I thought, ran pretty well that day in a field of 4 where Noonie just got the advantage. We can show the race because it's important. 3 of the horses come out of the
Vodka
race.
with the Twist is in.
And so we're looking at numbers 1, 3, and 4. So Noonie's the 1. Vodka with the Twist is the 4. The 3 is Night Beacon. So you see, Vodka with the Twist is on top here, but it's kind of weird. Like, just didn't go on with it. And in a small field, to me, it was strange that Vodka with the Twist would go from being
They didn't try.
on the lead to
They
just
didn't try.
right to back here, because it seemed like that's really what they wanted.
Yeah, I personally, when I saw this race, I thought that they should have just went on with it and got in front of
Yep.
Noonie and made it difficult, and they didn't. They took
It,
back. I mean,
well,
it's clear.
it's different if it's different when it's a field of 10. When
Yes.
you feel like there's going to be another horse or two up there and you
Right,
don't
but
want to
there's only
battle.
2 other horses.
But in this race,
really.
you were on the lead. The 3 had already broke poorly. At the most, you would have been battling with 1 or 2 other horses.
Right.
And that may have been the difference between winning and losing this race. And maybe not. I don't know. You don't know. It's a small field, but I did like to see that she was able to come back, pass horses, come on late here. And I feel
Should
like
have won.
I know.
I mean, no doubt about it. That horse should
Yeah.
have won.
Yeah.
I mean, had the advantage early, gave it up, then fought back, came in, and
It was like
Was
making
probably
up ground
best.
late. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this race, I think a lot of it will come down to Nooney having to deal with the one Proud Starlet who drew the rail last time and pushed all the way through. She was really fast.
I like that horse a lot in here.
And then the
Proud
5
Starlet.
Night Beacon, we were just looking at Night Beacon. When you watch the head on, you can see it a much clearer. Night Beacon's debut showed speed. And then in this spot right here, the 2 and the 4 come over and the 3 just sort of loses path. They weren't really aggressive with her or with him out of the gate either.
Yeah.
I think they will also be. And just looking at how she's come back in the mornings, they've been really fast with her again. Kyle Frey jumps aboard. So I think the 1 and the 5 are going.
So here's my approach. I want to believe. Now I'm saying this as a couple days out from this race, that the 1 is actually faster than the 2. That Proud Starlet
I think
is
so too.
faster than Nooney. And that being said, if the case or if the situation comes up where Proud Starlet is in front of Nooney, I think the pace might get a little crazy. And one of two things will happen. Proud Starlet just keeps running and nobody catches her. The other scenario is the 6 Tenma blows by everybody and wins going away.
I thought the
those are the
both
only
of the
2
outside
horses I like at all in this race.
So you have 1 Proud Starlet and 6 Tenma. For what I like is that those are the versions of the race that you see happening, how you played it out. You mapped it out for yourself in your head. I thought the 4 just could sit the trip, right? If the
Absolutely.
1, 2, and maybe 5 go after each other, the 4 could be the horse that gets the jump on 6 and 7. Right. And that would be how Vodka with the twist wins, sits 3rd or 4th, gets the jump. Tenma, that was really impressive. And the thing about Tenma is this horse was not supposed to win the debut because
no, he
you could
wasn't
see
the 1.
doesn't get bet like a Baffert, normal Baffert at all. This horse was 6-1, the 7 broke slow, which is not like a Baffert at all, and comes from way out of it. And he even said this is a 2-turn horse, no doubt. But this horse has some ability because it was able to overcome some of those things. Even right here, like you don't see Baffert horses this far out of it ever. They're never like this wide towards the back, but giving up ground at the back just kept to the clear, kept to the outside. And what was even more impressive in watching it back, right at about this point, so the 7 is making this sustained move from the back, but right here, the 3 starts moving with her all the way right to the inside of her. It's not easy when you're moving and you got another horse right to your inside,
like leaning in,
right, kind of moving along with you the whole way. Like right about here, it kind of looked like the 3 was moving better, right? Like the 7 was going to kind of tire out a little bit, and then found another gear. So this horse has some ability. Like right here is now kind of drawing away again. I mean, that was impressive.
Honestly, if someone was like, I'm gonna bet a fortune on that horse, I wouldn't think twice about talking him out of it. I mean,
7 feels perfect. 7
he looks
furlongs.
very, 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 very good spot. This horse, especially after that kind of performance, where the horse on the lead was loose.
Yep, this was supposed to be a good effort to finish 2nd or 3rd in the debut and then come back and be odds on in the second start. And what's nice is that you'll actually get a bettable price on this horse in here. And if it came back in like a maiden race after that effort, you wouldn't, but you got 6-1 on this horse in the debut, and you're going to get probably 7-2 here. Cause I do think Nooney takes money. I do think Vodka with the twist will take money. I do think the 1 will take money. Proud Starlet, like not a lot of money, but probably 10-1 instead of 15 in this field. Those 3 right off the bat will. And I wouldn't even be shocked if Jack's Magic kind of holds that 6-8-1, because this horse ran kind of deceivingly well. It was nice. What's nice about what Jack's Magic Girl has is she has a race going longer than anybody else. And from a fitness standpoint, we know she can pass horses, and we know she has the fitness level, and she very easily could have run in race number 5, which is the juvenile fillies turf, going a mile on the turf. She would have been a top player in there. So they think enough of what she's been doing on the dirt to at least give her a shot, and she's trained really well over it. So we're both way, it sounds like, against Nooney in here.
Yeah.
At the price. I'm
definitely
very much against Nooney. I just think if she wins, it's going to be too short of a price in a race where it doesn't look like it sets up all that well for her. And we mentioned 3 or 4 other intriguing options. We each gave you 2 others, that will be way better prices and could get way better trips. So Nooney, respect the ability, but the other Baffert should offer you even more value and could get a better trip. Barry mentions the one who could be even faster than Nooney. Vodka with the twist could end up sitting a better trip. What's nice about her, she's the most experienced runner in the field. She's a multiple winner. We saw her show that speed in her 2 wins. And then last time out, she did show us she can pass horses. August 31st, she worked a few lengths behind 2 mates, ran them both down. Like they're training her that way to be a better horse going long, because you could see that they're training her to be a good horse and not necessarily just really fast win these races. They think highly of her. So I like seeing that in the mornings too. Vodka with the twist. It's the Grade 1 Del Mar Debutante, race number 4 on Saturday at Del Mar. Another stakes race, Barry, with some quality horses in here. You have Thought Process, who was really good when they moved him to turf. He just sat such a nice trip. We talked about this race, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
That process.
Yeah, sure
and he was
did.
drawn to the outside that day, and we knew he was going to get bet down and just sit that really nice trip. And that's exactly what happened. And then you have some really, really intriguing horses like the 7, who was a good winner in the debut, sitting just off the pace. You have a horse like the 1, Madonna of Loretto, who's 15-1. When you look at this horse's pedigree, this dam was all long on the turf, really long on the turf. So she could be much improved, stretching out from 5 furlongs to a mile on the grass, and also has a winning turf sib, who was good going long on the turf. So long on the turf is like where you'd want to upgrade Madonna of Loretto. The 3 and 4, both of them come to the U.S. for the first time. They both ran really, really good races. The 3 beat 15 horses in that race at Gowran Park, was mid-pack, and was just improving gradually. Once they gave this horse a little bit of room early in the stretch, she showed a good turn of foot.
Yeah.
Very impressive. And then the 4, Fondest Dream, another one, she just comes rolling in her debut, and she beat the boys. It was a fun race to handicap. Castelou could have run in the Grade 1 Del Mar Debutante, but Baffert has Nooney there, and he has another horse, the other one that we like even better, that's going to come off the pace. So he could have Castelou in here, set the pace, and try to wire this field. I don't know if she's good enough to beat this field going a mile on the grass, but I think they want to just let her rip on the front end and see if she's fast enough. She'll probably have some other company in here. So I'm playing it, looking for some of the horses, Barry, that are sitting off the pace a bit.
Yeah, that seems like the thing to do in this spot. Although I'm not really sure what the pace is going to be like, even with Castelou out front, and I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what to make of Castelou, to be honest with you.
Me neither.
I mean,
in the spot,
this horse could easily win and go wire to wire, and nobody come close. And then I could also see this horse running 6 furlongs and stopping. I'm not really sure. So that really means that I'm looking for other places, and I think those 2 euros are a good start. Those horses have run and won already in nice fashion, and against, well, at least a anchor dub against a big field.
And another one who
has to count for something.
She has 7 furlongs, right? 2, which she's close to a mile, which is nice. Fondest Dream went just over 5 furlongs. So comparing the 2 of them, it's nice to know that this one's gotten close to a mile, beat a big field, had to overcome some stuff. Like, these 2 are both pick 5 horses for me, for sure.
Yeah, and I doubt they're prices are going to be close to their morning line. They're going to get bet down.
Yeah.
Um, and the other horse that I would want to include and take a real long look at is the 11 Twirling Light.
Yep.
Um, I think that horse, Peter Miller has really good statistics, second time out, just in general. But I appreciate that last workout, even though it's on the slower side. I think the placement is great, and then that combined with the stretch out. I mean, they paid $600,000 for this horse. There's got to be some sort of expectation.
Yep.
The horse didn't really get out of the gate, didn't have a really good run at it last time. Kind of closed ground late. Kind
It
of
was
got
one of
into
those
it.
like you just missed the slow start, and then things are just off.
Right.
After right, you
Right.
just can't you're too far back. This was the 9 in this horse, and like you said, this horse took money. But right here, off slow, and you're wide, and the race is over for the 9.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right
yeah,
now,
at this point,
going
it's done.
5 furlongs on the turf, just no shot. So don't concern yourself with the finish. Like, oh, this horse was beaten 8 3/4 lengths. Watch the race from here now, and you
Right.
see the ability this horse showed. It gets over to the rail, runs in spots, then has to deal with some traffic down on the inside. Once right here, he's starting to run a little bit, but nope, just gets shut off. Down on the inside, like doesn't want to go there. Now has to come on again, try to move through. Now has a little bit of a seam. Can I follow that horse? He still was looking in, like you could see he's green. He's still trying to go back
he's looking
to the
around,
inside, right? And so this feels like a horse, even right now, tried to go in between horses and couldn't. There were 2 or 3 different times where this horse was never going to win. Could have been 3 or 4 lengths closer.
He finishes up pretty strong too.
Yeah.
Considering he was on the brakes the whole time.
Mm-hmm. So he's a good find too. You close out your pick 5 here. I think you want to have him at a massive price on the tickets. Twirling Light, 20-1 on the morning line. The race has already come back live. We saw that 3rd place finisher come out of it to win maiden special weight, Calbred maiden special weight next out, earning a 60 buyer speed figure. We talked about the Del Mar first 5 races a few times. This is the best of the 5 that we talked about. Yeah. I think of any of the days that we did as far as just competitive, challenging races and a couple quality races with some stakes races. When we were doing the win and you're in stuff, some of them were smaller fields, and that's what made it tough. Some of those weeks. This is actually a really good start to the card on Saturday.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. This is a real challenging pick 5. I would suspect that it's going to pay pretty good no matter what happens, especially if you get Baffert
around Nooney. Yeah.
If Nooney loses, it's going to pay probably pretty good.
Before we get out of here, let's take a look real quick at the John C. Maybe. It's the feature, I guess one of the 2 features on Saturday, a couple of graded stakes races. We talked about the grade 1 Del Mar debutante. This is the John C. Maybe with a really cool horse and a set in there. And then another really cool horse, actually, Didia. Those are the 2 to beat, really, from a gambling standpoint. Neither one of them will offer much value. They're both really honest, too, Barry. Like, they just always show up with really good efforts. When they don't show up with a good effort, it's more of a head scratcher. Didia is a little more tactical, and a set will come running. Neither one of them, though, are like great from a gambling standpoint. They will be kind of head and shoulders above the rest of the field.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Those 2 are. I mean, I would suspect those 2 are going to be fighting it out, with one another in the deep stretch for the victory. You got to think Didia has been facing a lot tougher, even came out east and held her own. Getting back over there to the West Coast probably make a world of difference. She should lap this field.
And she might be the fastest in here.
Yeah, she definitely is.
And that for that reason,
she controls this race.
If you're looking for a price horse, even just to throw in with Didia and Anisette, or maybe you're playing a pick 4 or pick 5 and you wanted to just include one other horse in here that was a price. For me, it would be the 7.
Yeah, I was going to say the 7 or the 5.
Right? Yeah, just because there's not that much speed. So I'm looking, like, I like the fact that Fuente of Acuna's more recently been showing tactical speed and wasn't that far behind Anisette last time out, and Hernandez jumps aboard. So that could be a positive, but it feels like a great spot for Didia.
Yeah,
really does. With her tactical speed, the ability
class
to
relief.
Make her
it's
own
really
trip.
Class relief.
Yeah, and they've handled her this year with the Breeders' Cup with that as the target, and then trying to kind of work backwards. She was going to run at Colonial a couple weeks ago. They had the rain that altered, I think, moved the races back just a day or so. She decided not to. She waited. She came out here because she can get a run over the same turf course that the Breeders' Cup's going to be at. It just makes a lot of sense. Come out here, get a prep. And like you said, she comes out here in this grade 2, and win or lose, it's just a way softer group than having to face some of those same horses she's been facing recently. So good spot. She's going to be really tough. Maybe you can get a little value snuck into the race with the 7 Fuente Ovejuna. Barry, my man, got to give you a big thanks for all the help throughout the summer. Saratoga and Del Mar, we were bouncing back and forth between those, but depending on whatever the big races were. You helped out a lot with the Fun in the Sun contest, man. Thank you so much, but it's not like we're going anywhere next week. I was going to say, like, next week we'll be talking probably Woodbine. Maybe we'll focus on Woodbine since they have the big stakes races on Saturday. I'm sure in a couple weeks we'll talk Parks and their big races there. And then a few weeks from now, it'll be Santa Anita and Aqueduct. I'm actually going to be doing some work out at Santa Anita on that California Crown Day. I think I'll be out there doing some social media stuff for DRF. And also they have that big California Crown betting championship. I think I'm going to help. They asked me at Express Bet if I can come out and help either, get some feedback from some of the players in the tournament, kind of do a little live update
interview session.
Yeah, like that. Or they said maybe even they might need some help with a couple of their groups that need someone to help them with the wagering. So I actually like that kind of stuff. I like doing that stuff. So I'll probably be out there helping some of them out.
You'll be with the, I mean, you're like a platinum A-list celebrity. So at the California Crown, it's like,
do I get to be in the videos drinking?
Do
I get to be like Gino with the champagne? Like, as long as I get champagne in a suit, you know what I mean? I feel like I should have if that's the case, is it like the Beverly Hills 90210 intro where they're all like turning around on the beach?
You're like, hey, there's Brad Pitt over there. Yeah, but Gino is over here.
That's Gino over there.
Gino. Yeah, man.
So that'll be a blast. Some good racing coming up the next few weeks. Barry, buddy, anything else you want to mention before we get out of here? We got to give a shout out to Chuck. Hope he's doing well. Fingers crossed for Chuck. We're all sending him positive vibes over there, and we're sending him all the love in the world.
Definitely want to pray for Chuck. Not doing so well, but hopefully he'll be able to bounce back. But we'll see.
We're going to turn that luck around. Chuck, sending it all to you, my friend. Barry, thank you, buddy. You have a great weekend. Thanks so much, everyone, for hanging out with us. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, throw up a subscribe and hit that like button. Helps out quite a bit. Post who you like in some of these races with us. Do you agree with Barry in some of the spots? Do you agree with me? Or do you think we're crazy and we're smoking some of the good stuff? Let us know. Whatever your thoughts are on Del Mar on Saturday. Thank you so much, my friend Barry. We'll be talking next week, probably talking some Woodbine on a big Woodbine Saturday. However you're playing on Saturday at Del Mar, we wish you the best of luck.